Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Marvel Retrospective. I am the Devil, Travis Snell.
I just am now in this moment realizing I don't have a sweet nickname. I am the Bullseye, Dylan Musk.
Bullseye.
I am the never missing Taylor Field.
Did you know that if he got too sweaty, it would start to bubble, that prosthetic on his head?
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm. If you haven't guessed by our nickname, or the title, or the thumbnail, in honor of Daredevil Season 3 coming back to Netflix, me and Dylan will be reviewing that. Very excited. If you're watching this on Patreon, you could have got this early. If not, it's dropping this week, Daredevil Season 3. But we thought we may jump back in time and talk about Daredevil
2003.
2003, this is going to be last Marvel Retrospective for a while. We have one retrospective plan that's a secret. You know, if you like certain things, you maybe got to put a ring on it, some people say. And we will be doing an X-Men one when we get close to that. But this is going to be the last Marvel one for quite a while, so enjoy it. And I think we've picked a good one, and it's going to be, I think, highly debated. And let's start off why it's highly debated, because Taylor Field, you want to talk about what you thought about this movie, and maybe even just thought if you had any experience of it in the past.
Well, I got a lot of notes. Like, let me start from here. Like, my notes go all the way.
Oh my god! And Taylor Field never takes note. It's a notorious thing that I'm very mad at him and Jessica.
He does that. He always just drops this. He points to his head. It's all in there.
Yeah.
No one can do it.
Are you still editing your notes?
No. My notes are good to go.
Mine are always just a big mess.
Okay, well, I just asked you.
Tell us what the notes say.
Well, I also just asked his opinion.
Yeah, I have to go with opinion first. And then I'll go to the notes.
I thought you had your opinion written down or something.
No,
like you were gonna spew out like a monologue, like characters in this movie try to do.
Yeah, no, my opinion of this movie, you know, the last time I saw it was probably with my dad. Definitely not in 2003. Probably
2004, 5.
Well, 2006. Probably around there.
Wow, Dylan, calm down.
Take
Not
a fucking
2000,
step
not
back.
2004. Couldn't be 2005. 2006.
But yeah, I think I remember I was with my dad and we rented it from the movie store, and I thought, okay, you know, this would be a good, probably a good flick. You know, superhero movies are good so far. It's just not going to be any difference. At the time, I probably enjoyed it, and I probably liked it, but I don't remember much about being like super excited.
You could say it was
a
a foggy memory.
Foggy memory, yeah. And sure enough, I don't know how I actually own this movie. I'm pretty sure I got.
What? How do you own this movie?
I think when
after the Dutch situation, you guys went to the store and your dad nabbed it probably.
No, I think
son.
from like my a past relationship when I was moving out, it probably got shuffled into the DVDs when I was moving out. Because
when you guys broke up, did she leave you a very long, detailed voicemail message? Like,
because I got one, and it was really weird.
Really?
Oh my god! And you know the joke I was referring to in this movie?
I have the quote written down because it's so fucking good.
That's part of my
his
notes.
First girlfriend.
Yeah,
but it felt like you didn't understand my reference.
No, at first I thought you were actually just being completely serious.
Oh.
Taylor, come on. You said it yourself. When it hits 9:30, I can't cast anymore.
It's not 9:30 yet. It's 8:30. 47.
Yeah, but you have a lot of notes.
But yeah. Yeah, no, it got shuffled in, and then, yeah, here I am now. So I was like, we were doing Daredevil, I'm like, oh, I think I have that. And I looked through my shelf, and I'm like...
Is she gonna watch this and message you and be like, I want Daredevil back? Come on, these are important things.
Yes.
If that's true, I'll give it back. You know, I mean, it comes down to it.
It sounds like you will.
I got valuable shelf space that I need to fill up. You know, the DVDs are coming tomorrow. So
give it to Dylan.
Yeah. Do you want it? I'll give it to you. It's the widescreen. It's 2 discs.
And is she gonna come after me next?
Travis is gone. They'll save you from going on to F movies or whatever.
Hey, F movies didn't work. I had to go to 1, 2, 3 movies, and that one was fucking high quality. I don't need your DVD. It was like HD. To the T.
Wow.
Give it to him and make Clinton and Sarah's watch it, and then I want them to also do a review.
Enjoy it. It's anyway. Go on.
Go on.
Yeah. But I just rewatching this movie. I had to take a 3-hour break in between. I was on my phone the whole time.
What? A 3-hour break.
Yeah.
Midway in the movie.
Yeah, I was.
You're like, I need to take a 3-hour break. Right
Well,
now.
I was watching it and I got like an hour and a half in. I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to Ruben's now. This is a little bit too much. I went to Ruben's.
No, okay. I feel like what happened is you were already planning to go to Ruben's. You started this movie. You're like, I should pause this. I feel like it wasn't like this movie sucks. Ruben, I'm coming over for 3 hours.
It was a bit of both because I watched it and I realized this movie really does suck. So I'm definitely gonna leave. I'm not gonna try.
I'm definitely gonna leave
Because at any time
I'm leaving my own house. This movie offended me so bad.
I didn't set a scheduled appointment to go see Ruben at this time.
Right.
It was just at any point throughout the day I go see him or whatever. So
See in the hospital, is he okay?
he's okay. It's fine. We got through Daredevil, so it's all good.
Wait, no.
He was hunted down into a subway.
You hear that?
That's
the C train.
But it's just the. Oh my god.
I love this fucking movie.
The movie just overall, I found it so boring. I just whipped out my phone so many times. Honestly, I was just like, there was a point where I could have pulled up the Netflix app on my phone to go on there while this movie's playing in the background. It was just so bad. But that being said, like, I was focusing on what was going on and it just was so dull and so boring. It did nothing for me. I might as well just have been like, it's like when someone's just laying there and you're supposed to do your thing, it wasn't a good experience.
Whoa! Dude, just throw the
dictionary. You're calling out one person harshly on this one cast.
What?
Anyway.
Okay, well, if I was calling someone I didn't mean to.
It's Morgan. I feel bad.
No one will ever get this joke.
Okay.
They have to be the most hardcore. No, don't tell them why.
I'm not. I was going to talk about my thoughts on the movie.
Okay.
I'm trying to speed this along. So we talk about this frequently on the Geekverse cast. We talk about the distinction between like just a straight up bad movie and a movie that's so bad that it's good, because it's a fine line and it's a hard one. It's really hard to define when you fall into what category. To relate to like a couple recent movies this year, I don't think Predator is a good movie if you look at like writing and like character development, things like and like cinematography, things like this. But I still had fun with this movie. It's so bad it's good to an extent. Same thing this year with Tomb Raider, because that movie was really bad for the same sort of reasons. But there was just some moments in the movie were so bad that I just loved it and I just couldn't stop laughing and it was very enjoyable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of had a very similar experience with this movie where there was. And so I guess to preface my history, I have seen this movie before. I know I have, though when I was watching it, like none of it was familiar. There was only one scene that was familiar, and it was when Elektra's like taking her knives and like that fucking that song comes on.
Listen to it today on the bike ride to work.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
That was the scene. I was like, I remember this one,
Oh,
but the rest of it was all just it was completely gone from my memory. But I really enjoy watching this movie because. The thing is, obviously this is a different time for comic book movies, and this one, was intentionally supposed to be very cheesy, but what it did well is that it stuck to that, like, throughout the whole movie. There's a couple, like, emotional scenes, but they don't linger on them for very long, and even those emotional scenes have cheesiness, like, there's one scene, Daredevil Elektra, it's an emotional moment, and then, like, Bullseye in the background, it's like, and it just takes you out of it, like, you can't...
Hey, girly!
Yeah, you can't take it seriously. And it stuck to that, and to relate that aspect to a recent movie is one that I wasn't on a review for, because these two motherfuckers reviewed it without me, Jurassic World, where I felt like that movie, a lot of the characters were like intentionally supposed to be cheesy, and so I felt like from that aspect it was pretty successful in trying to achieve that, but the movie was very inconsistent, where like it was like having these really cheesy kind of caricature sort of characters, but then it wasn't, and it didn't really have like a set vision. Whereas this movie, like, I think it knew exactly what it wanted to be, and it set out to do that, and it succeeded in that sense. To go along with that, I think like a lot of the music and like audio fits really well within that. There's some cinematography that fits really well within that. So it's not just like the acting isn't great, but it's kind of like over the top cheesy, and like all of it, like every aspect of the movie, I feel like fits for what it was trying to be. With that being said, is it a great movie? No, it's not a great movie. Would I put this in my top 100 movies? No. Would I put it in my top 100 comic book movies? It probably
I
might.
think you would. I think you would.
It's probably somewhere in the top 50.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really great moments in this movie that I'm really excited to talk about because there's a couple. I love Bullseye, except for there's one scene that I really disliked, but the rest I thought Bullseye was just a super fun character.
He's the most. See, this is where I'll push back on you. I don't think they did make it to be so cheesy. I think they made it, and they're like, yeah, because I think this movie's way too dark and dreary for them to be like, we're full making a cheesy movie.
I think
this came after X-Men.
I think it might
Spider-Man.
on screen it might be like nighttime dark, but I didn't feel like the movie. I guess there is some deaths and stuff. But the thing is, it doesn't linger on those, and it doesn't touch back on those moments. It just is constantly moving forward, right?
No, I feel like Matt Murdock throughout the movie is a very depressing character. Like, when he comes back that first night of crime, when he beats that guy's son, the father in front of his son, and the son's, crying, and he's like, I'm not the bad guy. And then he's just up on the roof muttering to himself, I'm not the bad guy. And he gets back, and he's popping pills. There are some dark moments here. I think I think it's very much like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man's, where it's cheesy because it's that part of the time, but back then, that was viewed as serious.
Possible. Well, that's not the perspective I have of the movie, right?
No, true.
Because I have no memory of it. I just watched it
I think they wrote it as this is a dramatic, new superhero. This was dramatic superhero movies back then. We haven't done. We're gonna watch the original X-Men in the next few months here, but I think that suffers from the same thing at time. But this, I think, is the most cheesy versus Spider-Man and X-Men, which were the closest to that. So
yeah.
The
only other thing I'll say is quick over is obviously Ben Affleck is your Daredevil in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had this kind of weird thing with Ben Affleck where, of the top kind of tier actors, I've always felt like he's just one who stands out as he always just feels like an actor being an actor, whereas a great actor always, can disconnect from that and you really believe in the character or the movie. I've for some reason Ben Affleck, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the way he talks, don't know if the way he walks around, but I just don't fall for it.
Gone Girl.
That's the thing where I think Gone Girl's the one's somewhat exception because that movie has amazing writing. Mm-hmm. I really like that movie.
Have you seen Argo? Or The Town?
I've seen The Town, and I
same thing.
It's not I don't know. It's weird because
something just doesn't click with you.
Yeah, it's not something that I can really fully describe, but it's just I just feel like I'm watching Ben Affleck in particular,
Yeah.
And I really get that vibe. I mean, I had that with Batman the whole time as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's bad either. It's just this weird gray. It's just this weird thing that I can't relate to anything else because it's only Ben Affleck I feel that way. So I wish I could describe it better, but it's very confused in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first loaded this movie up, I went in the chat to these guys right away and I said, "Oh shit, over 2 hours, this could be bad." But I honestly thought from start to finish it had pretty good pacing. It has really bad transitions, but it has pretty good pacing. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm excited. I didn't say all of my thoughts, but I think there's some really fun stuff in this movie.
So I saw this in the theater. Daredevil, I think, is probably a top 5 comic character for me. So I had lots of, not expectations, but lots of excitement as a young kid. I loved it back then, and as you watch it now as an adult, yes, Taylor, it is not a great movie. There's lots of problems. It's quite messy. There are a lot of storylines going on in this movie that aren't the smoothest. You will never, but maybe one time, Dylan, if you ever have the quench to watch this again, you should watch the director's R-rated cut because there's about 25 minutes cut, and the original movie was planned to be R-rated, and it actually makes a lot of these things more smoother. Mm-hmm. The love relationships actually take back. They don't even have sex in the director's cut. It's very strange. It's a very different kind of more streamlined movie as far as trying to be more mature. But what this movie is, there is a lot of problems. But there's just something about this movie that I love. And I don't know if it's nostalgia. I don't know if it's because I love Daredevil. But there is certain things that I can, and we'll talk about, that are not good in this movie. And that's where, along with other comic fans, the cheesy scenes, the one that everyone calls out, the playground fight scene, that's something as a Daredevil fan, that breaks your fucking heart. Because Daredevil is one of the least cheesy superheroes. If you watch the Netflix show, that is Daredevil. They've captured the tone, the essence of that character. This has shades of it, but it suffers very much from, this is very early comic book movies. This is X-Men, this is Blade, this is them trying to find their footing of what the comic book genre is. And that's why it's so fun to look back now, especially now that we have a current updated Daredevil. But I love this movie. The performances in it are really over the top, but I think it works because almost everyone's over the top. Colin Farrell's Bullseye is the most. He knows what fucking movie he's in, and he's just going for it left, right, and center. I think Jennifer Garner's really good for what they give her. It's a classic. She kicks ass, but like, it's a classic comic book female role where there's not much for her to do. And when she does, like, she's a super trained assassin, but when she goes one-on-one Bullseye, she just gets fucking destroyed, and it's just awful to see. Michael Clarke Duncan is not in this movie enough. He's a great Kingpin. He's so good. And Daredevil is Ben Affleck, I think, is good. I think there's not much for him to work with, but I do get the sense of it's the scenes when he's walking around all depressed and distraught, like he looks hurt. I think he does a good enough performance. I think his Batman is much, much better. Action in this movie, there's some scenes I really like, and there's some that are really bad. We'll get in that when we start talking about the film. The score and soundtrack is one of my favorite superhero score and soundtracks because the music that was in this, like the music, the Evanescence, you got Fuel in there, you got Seether. That is Travis Snail 2000s music. I still listen to a lot. 5 of the songs from this movie are on my workout rotation playlist. It is classic Travis Snail soundtrack, so I've got a lot of them there. And the score, the thing I like about, they give him an actual theme though, that piano theme that like, I like that's throughout the movie. We complain about that's something today. Other than Wonder Woman, most people don't have a fucking theme, and like, yeah, the movie might not be great, but at least he has a theme and it's current throughout the whole film.
The reason that like that felt also cheesy to me is because like all the other music in this movie is like, that it's like all that like early 2000s kind of pop stuff.
Yeah.
So when it hits
pop
you,
rock.
Yeah, when it hits you with like those little piano chimes, it just feels like super over the top, right? Like it's trying to make you feel like dramatic and like the characters feeling.
It fucking works, and that's when you can look at me. I might be the most film snob in this movie review, this podcast, but this is my Taylor Field episode because there's so much stuff in this podcast or this movie's that bad. But I just love watching this movie. I could watch it over and over.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think they do cool stuff, like when he is blind, like the world they give him and everything like that. I liked some people complain, I liked the whole movie's kind of a flashback. It's a fun little thing. Doesn't make sense that he says you see your whole life before you die and he doesn't die. No, not at all. But I think it's a fun tool that the movie is going, even the way the credits start, when they're showing you flashes of the movie, I like that. That's very Mission Impossible-esque, so I'm excited because, there's a lot of stuff I can admit. There's some really bad, cheesy stuff that is just, you look at now and you're like, oh boy. Like stuff like Daredevil killing, that's the classic, like Batman 89, where they just didn't know any better because it's a comic book. Everyone kills, that's your classic action one, but, like, I like that. So, if you take out the comic book and the show, I like that at the end of the day, Daredevil has an arc. He has an arc that he decides to stop killing, right? It doesn't match the comic books because that's bred into Matt Murdock, but his arc in this movie is he is a violent man who will stop at nothing to make justice served, but then he learns that I'm not the bad guy, and he takes the guy who killed his father and he wouldn't kill him, So even if it's a poor movie, there's an arc there, there's an arc for main character, and lots of movies, Predator, don't have that, and that's where dimensions come in, where he changes from the beginning to the end. He has experiences and he changes. Is it the most smoothest journey? No, but I am excited to talk about this. Mm-hmm. Love this fucking. It's a guilty pleasure, top guilty pleasure of mine probably. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't even know where to start.
I want to start just with the opening credits because I thought they were pretty cool.
With the braille?
Yeah, it's like these kind of landscape shots of the city and windows lighting up across the city, and then that turns into braille, and then that braille unfolds into the opening credits, the actors' names and director and whatnot. I thought that was a fun little. I don't know. I thought it was just a nice creative intro. Mm-hmm. So I like that.
How did you feel? Because also we just had this with Ghost Rider on our previous one. How did you feel about the very similar origin as far as 20 to 25 minutes begin the film? How did you feel about this to go around now? Because Ghost Rider wasn't the biggest fan of for you.
I thought it was pretty bad, but it was fun because that kid was wearing a wig. I swear.
Was it a wig?
I think so, man. There's some shots where it's like that's a 1 in a million wig right there. Like this guy. That kid's wearing a wig, and I don't know. Maybe it was just a couple shots that I saw. Maybe it's the link I was watching. I'm not sure.
I think they maybe colored his hair a bit because they even colored Ben Affleck's hair to get it because Matt Murdock in the comics is a ginger, and they gave Ben Affleck this weird sort of red brownish.
I noticed that on the kid version, but not on
Oh, he
Ben
had
Affleck.
He'll have it. I'll try and find a picture. Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I thought it was. All right, the actor who plays his father is really bad, so it was hard to really really jive with that character and connect with him. But I mean, overall, I think it sets up the character. I didn't really need it, but honestly, I thought it was kind of fun because I really like the Daredevil show that we have going on Netflix now, and so it was kind of fun to see.
See, there's some red tinges in there. They tried, but
I think it looks a lot more natural than the kid.
And this is a kid. That's not a wig. That's not a wig, ladies and gentlemen.
Sometimes it looked like plastic. Like I don't know.
I think they just put a bunch of color paste on there and it got
someday
hard.
when I rewatch this movie, I'll go back and I'll pause and take a clean screenshot of the scenes because there's a couple that it really stands out. But yeah, so I kind of like seeing his the origin from the perspective, and that's there's a lot of characters from the TV show that are in this movie as well, and so that was just fun for me to see other renditions of these characters, even though they're obviously just a lot quicker. They don't get like development like they do in the TV show.
Yeah,
they're kind of more basic, kind of.
Karen in this.
Yeah, Karen's pretty.
She just has one scene.
Pretty much, but she solves something. But there's also this one, eventually. So his dad's kind of like a fighter who he was just kind of losing a bunch, but then his son finds out that he's not actually a fighter anymore, and then he's like freaking out. He runs, and then that's when he gets the chemicals in his eyes, goes blind. Really cheesy scene of them in the hospital, and
the scene when he wakes up you don't like when he's hearing all the sounds.
Oh, I like most of this movie, but I'm not saying it's good.
But I mean, you like that even in a cheesy sense? I thought that was good of a guy who now has this heightened hearing that he can hear just like water dropping.
I like that part, and I mostly agree with you. I like his worldview that you get to see, and like the music, really
very expensive effects.
Wind tunnel, and I'll get to that later. But it's like just really really stupid dialogue where he like wakes up in that room, he's like kind of freaking out, and then he kind of figures out what's going on, and then his dad walks in and he's like, "Son, I have some news for you." He's like, "I'm blind." He's like, "How did you know that? I could hear you." And it's just like some really bad dialogue back and forth. It's like how do you know you're blind? Well, I mean, you can't see, first of all, so maybe that was a clue. I don't know. It's really every line that his dad had was like pretty bad.
So, how do you feel about the origin? Also, I want to press you on. I wonder with superheroes that you don't like, not that you don't like, but you don't get drawn to. Some like you got Logan. I don't think Dark Knight's up in your favorites there. I think there's one other one.
Dark Knight?
Is it up in like your top 10?
I just did a Dark Knight, the trilogy marathon.
Is it in your top 10?
Dark Knight?
Yeah.
I put it in top 10.
Okay, fair enough. I was getting the sense that sometimes darker heroes you don't really attach to. You like more the fun-loving
Ghost
ones.
Rider's pretty dark. He eats your soul.
Yeah, but then he also says stuff like he also pees out fire. And that's a very Taylor, and I don't know about that. So I was surprised. From Taylor, he dislikes very few amount of movies, so when I was getting these messages, I was very surprised. Because
I like The Punisher Warzone.
We won't talk, that's a very different movie we'll do one day. We won't talk about Bullseye yet, but stuff like Bullseye, I thought this movie was going to be your jam. So what did you feel about as far as the origin kicking off? Obviously, he's in the church, he's laying there. How do you feel about that? Because it is very similar to Ghost Rider.
What was going on when he was crawling in the church and everything? Okay, I feel like did my DVD skip? Did it cut? Like,
what about the credits? Didn't you?
No, all the transitions in this movie are very bad. There is no thought put into like, this is one scene and this is how we're gonna edit it to the next one. It just chops it. It's very no thought put into that.
But it's very similar to Ghost Rider. Dad relationship for 20 minutes,
Dad relationship, yeah. I'm a sucker for dad-son relationships in movies. I enjoy that. So. But I definitely didn't understand, the dad, he was a piece of shit, I guess, but he wanted his son to do better, and he's a criminal, but they never touched upon that again. They showed him, like, mugging this guy. The guy didn't turn him in for recognizing that he was a big-time boxer at one point. Major
oh, man, I'm excited for a negative Taylor. This is rare. I feel like I'm on your side now.
Awesome. It's just, I couldn't believe that, because I thought, okay, he's obviously, he's holding this guy up, and he's asking for his money, and he's not wearing a mask,
He has a toque on.
But his whole face is visible. The guy can clearly identify that this was a big boxer. Considering these kids who were just bullying Matt Murdock couldn't point out that his dad was a boxer.
Maybe they don't want to because they're worried the Kingpin might hurt him, right?
Maybe. So, but like, then even that, wow.
That's the wind tunnel noise in the movie.
Yeah,
We
sea
decided to
train.
edit it in there. That's some deep
That's the
work.
sea
Sea
train.
train.
See, you like it.
Don't churn me.
I'm excited
Oh,
to talk
we're
about
gonna
this.
churn
Oh yeah,
Um,
we're gonna churn you. Alright, we'll churn that butter.
But yeah, no. So that happens, and then the dad feels like shit, and obviously the son runs away and gets his eyes blasted, and then the dad turns around and becomes a boxer. I don't get why the dad couldn't take on this cheesy lowlife thug who was hired by Kingpin to shoot him or whatever, or beat him up. The dad, it goes to the other way.
It wasn't a low life. Kingpin killed him.
Well, I didn't take it as Kingpin killing him. I took it as a criminal did.
Well, because the reason I think it's Kingpin, I think it's a younger Kingpin because that limo before when he's in the alley, they do the thing where the limo extends up, right? So they imply like it's a really heavy guy in there, and then I was pretty sure you see a black fist hit the camera.
I didn't see a black
So,
fist.
because remember
Well,
there
what
was
do
the
you mean
one-
that you don't think he could take this guy?
Well, all it shows is you hear noises, then you see Matt Murdock's dad being held by another guy and just being wailed on. Like I feel like he didn't put up any fight.
Yeah, but we already saw that all these fights he was winning were paid off anyway, so it's not like he was actually a good fighter.
I don't think they were actually paid off. I think that guy lied to him, and it was just saying that. We'll never know, but that was the way I took it.
And even
That's
so,
not
in
why
this last fight, yes, he was getting the shit kicked out of him because he's supposed to take the fall, but he actually beat that guy fair and square. 'Cause that guy
True.
was
Okay,
going
yeah,
all out. So
true,
we know
true.
he's a good fighter.
The reason I
But that
also
was
thought
plot armor.
yeah, still. Hashtag whose boat was it? That's why.
Realistically, he should have got bombed.
By who?
But it was like, the motivation of my son cheering for me.
Come on, Dad!
Victory.
Come on! And I
Damn.
also
And
thought
then
it was
he-
Kingpin before he was Kingpin when he was like a lower tier criminal. I think he was working for that older white guy. That's the way I took it. He was
Kingpin.
going up. Yeah.
Well, the older white guy was just given the shaft. This
Ooh.
guy, well, like, he's obviously got some large connection to the criminal role, and he's making, like, a threat to this guy. Like, you think you did on your own? I was there for this guy and this guy. And then all of a sudden, he's just gone. Out of the flashbacks, he doesn't make a single
Well, no,
comment.
but there was 20 years later, so that guy could have passed away.
Yeah, but they should have hinted at something like Kingpin could be like, oh yeah, I knocked that guy off and took over the corporation.
I don't think
or
I needed.
something.
I don't think I needed in depth on that.
But he's the reason that Matt Murdock's dad died. So that's all the reason you need.
Well, we don't know, assuming that you could also assume that maybe Kingpin at a younger age maybe was a big time roller and that older guy was working for Kingpin. We don't have that clarification, but either way, whether it's that or Kingpin physically killing his dad, Kingpin had a hand in Matt Murdock's dad's death, right? Jack
Well, he
Murdock.
definitely did leave a rose on the body.
He did. And I, as a kid, and I still wince, not as much now because movie effects, but when I saw it the first time, when he takes a rose and he squishes it and his hand starts to bleed, oof. I was like, oof, that's painful,
It's heavy.
you know? Yeah, that seems very dramatic. The whole, like, him, like, and dramatic in the way where it is a little cheesy, where he's going around trying to find his dad. He hears the punching, he runs to him, there's the dead body. It's very, very dramatic from every moment. But you know what? I like that it was set up as far as, we saw his training before, and it's a good motivation of, obviously, why Matt Murdock becomes the Daredevil and everything like that. So,
They're pulling like a Batman kind of thing. Parents go down a dark alleyway and
pretty much.
Pretty
makes the guy
classic.
an orphan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, a lot of these stories, pretty much the same. Different ways.
Yeah, most parents kick the bucket, so.
There's only so many ways you can kill off a character's parents and make it unique.
Yeah. Where next?
Well, I want to one more thing from that
Yeah.
opening sequence is during there's a training montage. There's a couple of those in this movie, and they're all very cheesy. But in this one, his dad's taking out a punching bag, and then he goes off, and then Matt Murdock walks over to it, and then he starts training, or maybe it's later or something. But he goes back and he just starts punching it.
I
and
love
then
it!
It's fast mode, and he's just popping off on this
Because
punching
he's
bag.
using the sound. He knows
Oh,
what to do.
It was fantastic. So cheesy because he's
What's your
he's
problem?
going on the Flash level speed. He's punching this thing as fast as he possibly can. I thought it was so good. He's just has this little dinky little
Yeah.
smirk on the whole time. So good.
And then after that, he kicks those bullies' ass.
The,
too.
Yeah.
Those sticks to the feet.
God.
What is wrong?
The
This is
overconfident
I honestly
kid.
thought that I would have thought this is a movie with.
Yeah,
The
why?
overconfident
He's overconfident because he
kid.
can just beat their ass.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense because he's just 1 second, he's just I started to train, and he's doing these crazy, humanly
It was a
impossible
montage.
moves.
It was a montage.
on the side of a building. He's on doing a handstand.
That's
I'm
not
like, okay.
humanly impossible.
No,
You know
but
that.
for him, I started to train my body, and he's just doing all this crazy stuff. He,
But
and
it
the
was a
jumps
montage.
he's
That's
doing and everything.
months. That's months.
I didn't get the montage months.
I mean,
That's
I'll
what
give it to you
montage
that
is.
sometimes even just how high he jumps, like, no one can jump that high.
No.
And all he said was, like,
Yeah.
my senses have been increased to superhuman levels. But, I don't know, I think that's like all superheroes, right? They can just, like, jump higher than regular people.
No, but that's where I think the training was fine. Near the end of this movie, when he's Daredevil and he's after Bullseye, he literally at one point leaps building to building.
Oh, yeah. It's like
Impossible.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
He has no powers. He has heightened senses. He doesn't have heightened abilities. So it's very strange what happens.
So my Daredevil.
Because like for most of the time he is kind of you can say the building stuff, but he is still okay. It's plausible stuff. But then later on he does some stuff that could not happen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So where I know we usually do characters.
I want to go right into this answering machine thing here. Okay.
So let's talk about that, and then let's talk about Matt in general. Obviously, so Matt Murdock, he's a lawyer, crime fighter at night. He's struggling with and like I said, his moral thing is trying to bring justice to criminals, but he's killing them. And then this is after his first night in crime. He's going back, and then what happens to him?
I feel like this is like something out of the room. I felt like
this is something that you encounter in like Oblivion dialogue. Two NPCs are just having some stupid conversation.
When I heard it, I had to pause and rewind it so I could retype it because I thought this is not.
I guess we were all the same point.
Matt,
100%. It is. Oh boy,
it's bad. So the dialogue
I heard
goes
the first two lines and I paused it. I'm like, I gotta go back.
On the answering machine. Matt, are you there? Of course you're not there. You're never there for me. We've been dating for 3 months and I've never even seen your apartment. I want to go to the next level, but I realize this is the next level. Like,
what a shot. Do you not have the whole thing?
I didn't get the whole thing. I thought that was enough.
I can't remember because the closing line she has to something like finding yourself, but really you need to find yourself. I can't remember. She just has like what is that book? Chicken Soup for the Soul or whatever on her bathroom. She's just reading that to Matt Murdock and oh yeah, he's just like. But I liked that because it was like he has this relationship and it's just like it shows that right away the crime fighting is taking a toll. We don't know Heather's from the comics, long day relationship, but on that we don't know what the deal is there. But he looks like a little upset when it's happening. So
yeah, but she called. I mean, she knew exactly what she was gonna say. Matt, are you there? Yeah. Of course you're not there. Oh my god.
Yeah, she didn't even pause to wait if he picked up. What if he was there and he was just trying
There's no nuance to the voice actress of that. It was, I'm pretty sure it was Jennifer Garner who said that line.
It was not Jennifer.
I think it was. I think they got her to say it, and then we could save on budget. Look in the credits, what does it say? Does she have
I will look.
Does she have an actress dedicated to that?
Sure. And Tam, what do you feel about Daredevil / Matt Murdock overall?
I felt like there wasn't much there. I didn't feel like there was enough to really just pull me in as, like this is Daredevil. I felt like all he was doing was just walk around with his stick. I mean, I feel like that's what I was watching. It was just there was nothing dragging me in,
To Matt Murdock as a character.
So
you didn't love the interactions between him and Happy. What is his name in this
I
film?
liked Jon Favreau.
Because that was like most of his character though, was Matt Murdock. Was him hanging out with Jon Favreau.
But the stuff he was doing, I felt like he was just standing there, changing the coffee cup around and going off
That was
and walking,
fun! That was so
fun.
fun.
But the fun part was when Jon Favreau spat it out and he's like another...
Yeah, he's playing the straight man to it.
My favorite scene that I'll just pop up with Jon Favreau is when he's like at the party and he's rubbing the gargoyle's blue and he's like, hello? Hello? Hello?
And he's like, oh.
Hello? That is hands down my favorite scene of the whole movie.
In the coffee shop, I love that conversation they're having. He's like, man, you gotta look at this picture of Daredevil. It's grotesque. I'd like to see his therapy bills.
Their back and forth is so good, especially at the end. It's like, oh, they got a picture of Daredevil. The vigilante's known as Daredevil, and then Matt's, they're going on about it, and then Fox's like, oh, I don't believe that, and he's like, yeah, but what about the alligators in the sewer? He's like, you didn't believe the alligators in the sewer. He's like, oh, you never know, right? Yeah, I thought that was fun, and you don't...
I just felt like it was that character before Tony Stark hired him. Like, it's the same character as what he is in the MCU.
Well,
I feel like it's the same guy, but a little bit younger.
This is the movie that I imagine him and Kevin Feige met on, because Kevin Feige's producer, so I guarantee you, he met them, and there's made some conversation. Man, you like Iron Man?
In my worldview now, that character is canon MCU in Daredevil.
The way you look at it,
I don't care what you say. That's a fact for me. I'm counting this as the 20th movie in the MCU.
And not even just Foggy, though. Remember, Jon Favreau directed Iron Man, so Taylor, without Daredevil, we might not have Iron Man.
Well, I know, I like Jon Favreau's performance.
So, but here's the thing with Daredevil. Even though, like I said, it's not comic accurate, how can you not get the ideal of Matt Murdock struggling with killing or not killing? Because that's a clear storyline. That's something that, to me, is, as a superhero... something that is worth
There
struggling.
there wasn't.
To be fair, I
anything-
didn't feel like he had to struggle with it until that like last scene. I didn't really get vibes that he was struggling with it.
But
I
what
just
if-
thought he was like killing people because that's what this guy does.
He did, but then I would disagree in the middle scene, that scene with the guy and his son. When that son sees him and he's crying and he's in the corner in the dark, after that, that's when he goes to the roof and he's in the rain and he's like, I'm not the bad guy. But no, that's 100%.
He kills Bullseye with a second thought though, and that's only
He didn't kill Bullseye.
Yeah, but he did. His intention was to
Threw
kill
him off
Bullseye.
Nah,
Freaking
he.
His intention
building.
was to kill Bullseye.
That was
Okay,
the
100%.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt because even in the Netflix series, he kills a guy who kills Elektra. So he was under emotional distress. But after that kid, he didn't kill anybody else.
But
And
what
he
my
still
point is
doesn't
that
kill Kingpin.
before he has that recollection of, okay, I'm not going to kill anymore, which is Kingpin, which is the next scene after that Bullseye scene, right? Like, there isn't any time between that. It's just like, I'm going to kill this guy, and yeah, there's reasons for it. Yeah, Bullseye probably deserves to die. But
I
still,
assume he
he's
knew
still
the
just killing
height.
them.
He knew the height, and because vibrations, he knew he would survive. You know.
No. I'm not giving you that one at all. He intended to kill Bullseye.
He probably did,
100%.
but that is at least the struggle of the character. Maybe he fell into his ways. But
There was no struggle though. The only reason he didn't do it sooner is because Bullseye was smashing on those pipes and stuff, and he couldn't like move correctly.
Well, there is a struggle because he doesn't kill Kingpin. If he killed Kingpin, then yes. But they still set that up. The Bullseye thing is a detour
What I-
from that, I
yeah.
agree. But that's why I said it's not smoothly done, but that is the character trying to overcome it. And the Kingpin, because here's the thing. So he beats that guy to a bloody pulp, right, in front of the kid's son. And then it said, like, I'm not a bad guy and everything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And then the thing is, at that point, he hasn't killed anybody, but he hasn't really fought anybody yet, right? He's having love stuff with Elektra. Bullseye kills the dad.
He's killed someone at that point.
No, I mean after that point. He's
Okay,
not crime
okay,
fighting,
yeah.
and then he gets to Bullseye. That's the thing of he's still killing, but then, or possibly killing, but then with Kingpin, that's when he realizes fully. So it's not just a full-on right after the dad, I'm good, I'm not killing anybody. It's him slowly realizing, like I said, not the greatest done, but it's him eventually still realizing that I can't kill people and I'm not the bad guy,
I don't think so, because he's still enjoying it. Because after Bullseye
I
fell
don't
out, he looks out the window and says, Bullseye.
That's a superhero. That's a
That's
superhero.
him enjoying it.
That was
Like
so
no
good.
one can deliver that line.
That was...
That's where I feel like Ben Affleck in this movie. I feel iffy on because he had awful lines through this whole movie, so it's hard for anyone to deliver.
I
this.
agree, but that's where it's tough because you gotta look at it. That quip is a full-on. That's a 2003 comic movie. Oh, he needs to say a badass line right there. He does still have an arc. Either way, he decides not to kill somebody, and he's changed at the end of it because when he says "I'm not the bad guy" to himself, that is a change of the character.
I don't know. I mean,
He does change
I'll-
though. He didn't kill the Kingpin.
I'll disagree. I mean, because yeah, he does. There is the character is different from at the start of the movie and the end of the movie, but any movie can do that without any reason at all. And this movie, I don't know, it didn't really justify that reason. That's what I felt at least.
Fair
So-
enough.
I think any movie can just like arbitrarily have that character change where, you
Yeah.
know, like Batman in the current DCU, he could just like, I'm not killing people anymore. He can just say that and it's like, okay, well, he has now experienced character development, right? Like, you can just say on paper that is true, but that doesn't mean, it has a different meaning than like, a movie that actually wasn't, its intention was to have that as like, from the start of the movie to the end, you can see this beautiful shift,
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful shift.
And that's where it comes in where like this movie has so much going on and so many characters and storylines. Characters dying that I did not expect to die. It has a lot going on.
Speaking of characters dying, Dylan, what did you think about Elektra?
I thought she was fun. I liked that scene in the coffee shop for, obviously that thing with Happy Hogan,
Looking
but
for some money.
also she just
Right
like
in front of you.
fucking shuts him down. And I thought that was hilarious. And I loved that fucking scene at the park where they're just having this battle
Awful
because of
scene.
how bad it's like that Catwoman scene with
basketball.
the basketball scene. Yeah, it's like on that level. And oh man, because it's just so cheesy. Because it starts out and they're like in a 2D fighter, like the way the camera angle is set up, and they like have their Street Fighter intro against each other, and
he
then the whole
throws his
fight.
cane up,
Yeah,
and he takes his jacket off, and then catches the cane.
yeah, it's just like he's
Whoa.
like starting to dance. It's so cheesy, and then they're like on the teeter-totter, just like the whole set piece and the whole setup is just hilariously stupid. All these kids are like cheering them on. Yeah, the whole thing is so cheesy, but I had a lot of fun with it. As for her character, it's a weird story because of how and because that she dies in this movie. It just feels really strange. It feels kind of like unwarranted. It's like it feels very rushed, which is obviously what it is. But
well, to me, that's another classic comic book trope of these era is throwing in as many comic book storylines as you can. As far as like her Matt being left, her being assassin, her dying in the comic books is a huge storyline. And instead of spreading that out or maybe waiting till a sequel, they just do like all the big Elektra storylines all back to back to back, and it is in a 2-hour movie. Feels very quick and very rushed and very messy.
And I think the other reason why it's hard for me to feel, I mean you gotta respect it somewhat. I think it's hard for me to feel like I had any emotional. I didn't really have any emotional connection with any characters really, but I found it particularly difficult with her because I mean like I guess she has that scene with her when her dad dies, and that's like. Yeah, it's kind of emotional, but then it's
another great Evanescence.
They push it to like the funeral, and that's supposed to be like emotional. But because of the music playing, I just couldn't. I didn't find it emotional. I just found it like cheesy and fun.
It's when you.
It's like that. It's what I've been saying this whole time, where like they don't linger on a dark moment for too long. And then it's the same thing with like her training scene with like the music. I couldn't really take her seriously, which is fine because I couldn't take any of this movie seriously. But I got that pretty quick that wasn't really the intention. But you seem to think it was. Perhaps it was.
The intention I think that I do not think they went in being like Thor Ragnarok, where like we're gonna make like a parody of the comedy, like a comedic one. I think they tried.
It's definitely a product of its time, but for at least the way I saw like. That is the same thing with Predator, right? Like within 15 minutes, it's like I know exactly what kind of movie this is supposed to be, whether or not that lines in. Whether that's in line with director's intention fully, who knows?
Yeah. Gotta shout out the devil in the one sandbag, you know?
Yeah.
At first, when she starts training, it doesn't make much sense. They just drop in their one spot. Eventually, they have one.
Because at that point, you don't actually know anything about her, like.
Well, no, she does. No, she does say she trains with a new sensei every year since she was 8 or something, because her dad didn't want her to be a victim. Right. So they didn't want her to be assassin in this
She
movie,
just kind of keeps it hidden.
Yeah, but those first few sandbags that drops are just still. Eventually they start to swing, but really it's not much practice. Yeah. Taylor, what do you feel about Elektra?
I like Jennifer Garner. I think,
Prime.
She was definitely really, really good in this movie. Fantastic. One problem I have, though, is the part where they go and they fight in the park. Then that was just a whole thing in itself.
It was.
It is a whole thing, too, also because at this point she thinks he's blind, so you'd think he's an imposter. If you don't get to know that he has
she was
chemicals,
questioning that, though, right?
It is, but, I mean, she doesn't really press him on it after. And, like, you would still, like... He couldn't do the things he's doing at all if he was blind. And you would start to have some questions.
That's the thing I have a problem with, because when they're walking after their fight scene in the park, Elektra asks him, because Matt Murdock's like, oh, watch out for the curb or whatever, and Elektra's like, wait, how did you see that? Then it's like, wait, how'd you do that in the park? She waited until that moment when he stops her at the curb to ask about a fucking fight scene in a park.
Well, she's blindness, you know? Like, she doesn't see... Yeah, she didn't see blind. She didn't see eyes, you know? So, she just forgot. And she did forget that he was, blind in that fight.
Still just absolutely highly fraudulent.
Absolutely highly fraudulent.
So...
You don't know Elektra?
You gotta have more than that.
No, everything else I think
you
about
like
her, she was great. I really enjoyed her in the movie. So, well, I do feel like her relationship was actually really, really rushed. She went to really falling head over heels for and stuff like that. Like, that's like, where is this coming from? This obviously she's like, oh, I don't have a lot of good things happen to me in my life, and I get kind of scared or whatever like that. But that's a decent line.
This movie is very much like that May 89, so people should watch that. Yeah, the love goes by really quick because they have that one little meet cute in the park, and then he's just like, oh, I want to take you to my roof. And he's like, I've never taken a girl up here before. It's like, I get that she's different, but he just takes her up to the roof. Oh, and then Taylor's favorite part, before we get into that stuff, I actually think they have good chemistry. It makes sense. They are married. They have kids together. This is where they met. So you can.
Are they still married?
Unfortunately not. They got divorced last year.
Oof, rough.
But yeah, you can see that.
I didn't know that.
I think they have. You don't. Oh, you didn't know that?
I don't really. Care much about.
They have 3 or 4
really
kids together, or something like that. Yeah.
Lives
they were, but I think they have good chemistry in the sense of I really like their back and forth, and I do like Ben Affleck a lot when he's playing the cocky, overconfident Matt Murdock, because Matt Murdock is that. Matt Murdock in the comics is like a fun piece of shit womanizer. Like, not that that's a fun one, but like the way he is in the Netflix series, he does that where he's very flirty, even though he has this dark past, and he really shouldn't be messing with these people's lives. But you know, if Karen's looking good, he's gonna make some fun jokes and whatnot. Like, he's a fun comedic side, and Ben Affleck does that. I think their back and forth is good. The Elektra stuff, it goes by so quick, like we were talking about previously, all that love, and then we get that great sex scene, you know, the slow motion sex scene of all time. Taylor took a big offense. So Taylor, you got the floor right now?
Yeah, just awkward sex scene, and it was just...
Is that what the eggplant's there for?
Yeah.
And the peach?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, not that it was in Taylor's repertoire.
No, I just found it incredibly awkward. Again, the music is cueing. I wasn't a fan of a lot of the music used in this.
The music's so good.
But the music cued in, and they're just like there, and there's a fireplace. So that's elegant. I'll give them that. You know, a fireplace is always nice. But then they're like, she's like stopping, and they're midway through, and she's just stopping, like feeling his wounds. I'm like, I can't say I can ever relate to that experience.
Well, you've never had wounds like Daredevil, though.
You've never fucked Daredevil.
Have you seen my body?
Oh.
Yeah, we've gone on the beach. And you don't have massive scar. When he showers the first time, there's like a few nicks on his shoulder. Then when he turns his back is fucked up. Like, I don't know how he explains that to any ex. Like,
no. You can't.
And then she also has wounds as well, so they're bonding over that.
I guess so, but she's like gently just going over the wounds in her face.
It's a fun texture.
Has no emotion.
I think it's supposed to have emotion. I think they don't dive into this movie. I think she's trying to wonder what is the deal with this guy. Then they don't really do that. She's
asking that now after fighting a blind man in a playground.
Well, because I think like she's trying to still figure him out. Like, this has happened. He's blind. He has all these wounds. Like, what is his deal? You know, it almost would have made it smarter if she figured out he was Daredevil on her own. But no, she just like an idiot takes off the mask, and that's how she figures out. So I think that would have made it better. But yeah, I don't think they get into that because they're in the ball and they're just already in love and everything like that. And she says the most asshole line ever of "I wish you could see me tonight." It's like your second date. I get that he's blind, but man, her and Foggy, they have no problem reminding Matt that he's blind every fucking chance they get. No wonder why he's so mopey in this movie. Everyone keeps talking about how he's blind.
He just wants to look at stuff.
And then right away, like, let me see your eyes. You know, like, it's like he's not embarrassed by it, but like, he clearly doesn't. He doesn't want to embarrass other people, but they put him through the ringer in that. So great sex scene. No, it's actually not a good scene. That's the one time when the music is not good. There's a part where they fall down together and it's like slow motion. That's slow motion where it's like they fade into on each other. But you know, that fireplace, great.
Very elegant, some would say.
And I actually really like Matt's little layer he has there, and he has these walls. I don't understand because he's just a lawyer, so he has like a bat cave pretty much. But I like that his walls just literally fold apart, and he has like an entirely different room. And that's all his gear there, and I like seeing all the...
And his like whole apartment is just like... I mean, it makes sense. He doesn't need any color or things to brighten it up. But
it's creepy.
It is the definition of bland.
Mm-hmm. For sure. How do you feel about the way he sleeps? I really like that touch. I know it's not a big comic thing, but I found it was a fun thing to like him blocking out. And one thing I'm mad that's not in this movie is in the director's cut. There's one where he chooses to go to sleep, but he hears a cry right before he's about to go to sleep, and he goes to get up to stop it, but he hears it's too late, and someone shoots, and that person's dead. And he goes back, and I thought it was great because it'd be like, that's a great way of showing, you know, that he needs this, because if not, it's almost like an Xavier thing. He just hears all this stuff going on, and of course he can't be Daredevil all the time, so I actually like that. It's not plausible, because I always worried what happens if you turn over or something, you're gone.
It's risky. I liked it because he was like a fucking vampire. You know?
Oh, I thought it was blood when I remember this. When I saw it the first time, I thought it was blood.
The blood of his enemies. Not only is he a killer, but he literally sleeps in the blood of his enemies.
He's draining his enemies, like taking, after he's done pouring gasoline in the subways.
That would be another just plot to tackle and make this movie even more convoluted.
He keeps draining people's blood. Sick. Anything else on Elektra, boys? Also, we're gonna talk about like Death Zone, but I feel like we might talk about it when we get the Bullseye.
I had no more notes on her particularly.
Bullseye.
I will connect one thing. Her father, when Daredevil goes to try and save them, and the Daredevil's weapon goes by and goes into her father, and then the music plays, and this over dramatic death scene for a character that's been in 2 scenes for less than a minute 30. He gets this crazy long exaggerated death scene.
I don't think, but see, the way I think it's not because of him, it's because of what he represents, and that's the main character's love's father. That's why.
I didn't get that at all.
But it is though. That's legitimate. That's her father, and it's dramatic because she thinks Daredevil.
But they should have made it dramatic because she grabs the weapon and just throws it away. The Daredevil's weapon. What they should have done was make that dramatic of her looking at it and coming to realize, and then emphasis on her grabbing the gun, and then emphasis on her focusing on Daredevil. And Daredevil, because immediately it was just like, the emphasis was him and the music slowly dying. She throws the weapon away, grabs the gun, goes to shoot Daredevil. Daredevil is like, it wasn't me, and jumps away. And then the scene was done.
First of all, he didn't go, it wasn't me, and then he jumped away. But fair enough, it could have been more dramatic. But I didn't have a problem. I don't think a character's father dying, I think they can make that a little dramatic. And especially it's
way too dramatic.
I don't think so. It's her father, and it's not like it's a non-point in this movie that sets up the rest of the drama in this movie, right? Fisk is after her. She thinks Daredevil killed him, so she's after Daredevil. Bullseye after them both. So it's like an inciting incident. It's not just nothing. So I think it's valued. Yeah, we could have got more time with this character, but how would you get more time with her dad, really? There could have been a few more scenes of them together, but I don't think you can really flesh out her dad in a 2-hour movie.
Well, they should have swapped out the old guy at the beginning who was saying, "Oh, Matt Murdock, father, you're gonna fail this fight," and swap it out with that guy.
Ooh.
That would have been a little bit better.
Father?
Yeah, remember Matt Murdock?
The Fallon guy?
Oh, why would they swap it out though? They need that scene to set up why Matt dies.
Yeah, but they could have swapped that guy out, that old guy who never comes back and is useless, with this guy who works for Kingpin as well. I think it would have been, shows what this guy used to do when he worked for Kingpin.
No, but then you don't want Elektra's dad to be the one that had a hand in killing Matt.
But he didn't. That was Kingpin.
But this Fallon guy clearly was involved in it. So that'd be another storyline if they didn't even dress it. It's better to keep
Wouldn't hurt the movie.
I think it would, especially when they say Elektra's like they're all from out of town, right? So I don't think you want.
They're all from out of town.
Bullseye. Let's talk about Bullseye because combined with Elektra. Love Bullseye in this movie. If we ever did a Marvel's ranking of non-MCU, he would be high in my villains because he's just so much fun. Every scene he's great. It's over the top, but that's the one character where I do think they went for it and they even knew he was cheesy because the stuff he does in this movie is outrageous. I like that he is even a little creepy at times, but Colin Farrell just knows what's going on. And he's like Daredevil. He has a lot of great one-liners, but he makes them work because he's cheesy throughout the whole time. And and even then, like, I feel like he's a fun foil to Ben Affleck's Daredevil because Ben Affleck's Daredevil, other than a few quips, he's pretty stern. Like, most of the time when he's fighting, he's very Batman-esque. That's the reason Ben Affleck took this role, because after Batman and Robin, he thought they'd never make another Batman. So he thought Daredevil would be the closest he ever got to playing Batman. And he actually, I'm not sure if you know this, he had a Batcave made in his house. So he's a big comic books fan. So Daredevil most of the time is very stoic and creepy, like trying to be creepy. Like, he's like Michael Myers. At one point they look and he's just by fire and then he'll be moving and then he's flipping. But it worked for a Bullseye to be so brash and cocky and arrogant and talking all the time. Daredevil, not that much. So
yeah, true.
So now you said Feige.
He produces.
He co-produces. Okay, I am now 110% confident that Feige just has a gripe for assaulting old people in these movies. Okay, because that old lady on the plane.
She took that peanut.
Yeah. I mean,
she deserved it. She's annoying.
Oh, come on.
She deserved to die? Wow, Travis.
Oh,
have you ever been on a plane and someone just keeps talking? And ever since I saw this movie, I just been like, man, I wish I had a peanut. She said, no, of course I don't think she deserves to die, but it's...
You said it.
They kind of make... They make her like a little racist though, so they kind of make it almost a little okay that he does it. Because she says she calls someone colored or something like that. She says something where you're like,
she's just being old. That's what old people do, you know.
No, they shouldn't do that. That doesn't mean they're right.
I love that scene though, just because he's like, obviously he's just like fully evil guy.
Please.
Yeah, more peanuts, please. Yeah, I thought it was a fun scene.
Oh, she's sleeping and he's just like, I love when he's like that and she just like, he like yanks the head up.
Yeah.
No fucks given. And I even think to go upon when he's scary, I think the scene where he actually kills Elektra is really disturbing because I feel like he's a little scary in that, and he is acting very cheesy and cocky, but it's in a way where it's like this really dramatic moment's happening, and he comes off very unsettling because he's having so much fun, and that is a Bullseye, which he's rumored to be in season 3. He's Deadpool's best friend. Bullseye's a fucking psychopath, and he's like that in the comics where he gets off on people in pain, in hurting. In the comics, he does kill Elektra in front of Matt, and he enjoys it. And I feel like they do portray that well, where he enjoys doing this really bad shit. He has no moral compass, and I think we've talked about this before. Either you're gonna have a villain that has that moral compass, a reason for doing it, like a Thanos, or you gotta go Heath Ledger Joker. Not saying this is no Heath Ledger Joker, but a way where it's so crazy and out there, but you love watching the performance. This is because it's so over the top. You love watching it. Or something like, I don't mean to take a shot, Ghost Rider, but something like, what the hell is his name again? Blackheart is so bland and so boring and so bad. Where this is like, there's bad moments, but he almost like makes it kind of good and fun. So love Bullseye.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the character. The very first scene, just like the facial expressions he's making. He also has like some fake eyebrows on, which are a very nice touch. I love that he's always like touching his scar. He's throwing shit. I honestly I liked every scene of his just because of how weird he was, with the exception of the one you were just talking about on the roof when he kills Elektra.
Really?
I really didn't like that he went in and like kissed her afterwards. Or like as he's like killing her.
That's
because
a Bullseye thing to do though.
And I'm sure it is. Yeah. But for me, it didn't fit this movie at all because yes, he's like a crazy fucking weird ass guy. Yeah. But I was getting the more vibe that he was just like a deranged like magician kind of guy. But when he did that, it made me just feel like he was like, it just took it to a level that didn't fit the cheesiness of the movie. It just felt like too real. Like I just felt like.
Fair enough.
I just felt weirded out. It didn't fit with the theme of the movie, and
I think that's a dramatic version they were writing in it.
Possible, and like if Bullseye's a character like that in the Daredevil TV show, I'm sure it'll work fine. And obviously, it's a completely different like tone. Yeah. But for me, that I didn't like that, and I guess that's the purpose. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. But I felt like that was the one thing that didn't really fit, like how this movie was going. How like. Just kind of the fun I was having with it. I was just it was gross. It was weird. I didn't like it. But other than that, I seriously loved all those scenes. Like just some super cheesy shit. I love when it's like the clock tower or like whatever that. I guess it's the church. The final fight scene with him and Daredevil. How he smashes through that pane of glass, and then it's just like slow motion, like fruit ninja catching all this glass, like throw back at him.
That's good. I hate the rest of that church fight scene though. It's pretty brutal with the organs and the bats and like their set piece. Like this fight scene I really like is the one in the bar where Daredevil is fighting, and he's doing like there's one where he like runs up a fence and he like flips. Obviously not Ben Affleck. He flips twice and goes into a kick. And I love the touch that they have when the music's still playing, but it's like muted and you can just hear like the clicks of the guns and everything. Yeah. Really cool. Where the organ for me was just like they need somewhere where there's lots of noise, so we're gonna put them in a church. And I feel like they don't do anything that fun with it. I feel like
I thought it was fine because they set up.
I feel like it's very lumbering and like, awkward.
They've been to that set a couple of times, right? And it's just like so it's interesting from that perspective. I think the part I thought was weird was just like. They just keep climbing, and they're like climbing, and the Daredevil falls like, well, it feels like 5 stories. He survives, and they just like keep climbing. Like it just felt like abnormally tall, and didn't really work. To quickly touch on that, I think it was at Josie's bar where they had that fight scene, and I really liked, and that one was so, for the viewers.
Not Josie's bar though; it's a different bar.
Wasn't it?
What? No, I think it's a different bar that in the comics there's a bar where the criminals all go to hang out. I can't remember the name of it.
But I thought that was the place in this movie, wasn't it? I thought
yes, but I don't think is it called Josie Bar in this movie?
I thought it was.
Oh, maybe they just retconned it and changed that. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But anyway, so I was watching this movie on my computer. My speakers are super fucked. They weren't working at all yesterday. So I was watching this movie with headphones on. I have like they're a pretty good pair of headphones, and like probably a big reason why I love Steely Dan so much is because I can just all the layers are separated. It's very high quality. And that scene was actually like intense. That was an intense story in my head with those headphones on, because it like switches like point of view where it's like how like Daredevil would be hearing the fight, where he can like hear every last detail and every last click of the gun, and then like that kind of wind tunnel noise, and then it like switches out to back and like it fades the music back in for a little bit, and like it has like those cheesy. It's kind of like some cheesy sound effects in there, but overall I thought it was like. There's some really good mixing on that. Like it was really well done, and
I think it's the best pure action scene in the movie. It's a really cool idea, and I even think that's something that the Netflix show could do because he does that sometimes where he hears stuff, and because it's a lower budget, but I really liked everything that was going on in that scene.
It's
I don't know
fun.
why the pool table lights on fire, but it's cool that he ends up just standing there.
Some like obviously a lot of the CGI in this movie isn't great. It's like it's
Spider-Man.
It's 2003 level. There's one where he kicks Bullseye off the motorcycle, or like he's on the, I can't remember what it is exactly, but
He does.
anyway, someone does a flip and
into
there's a
kick.
motorcycle involved. It doesn't look good. When he's like climbing around, climbing up the fire escapes, jumping off roofs, it doesn't look great.
No. Two things I want to show, because I don't think I have my notes before you go on Bullseye. As far as things that I always wince at, one in the church when he throws, like, I can't remember what he throws, it's like what holds the holy water, and it hits Matt right in the throat. Oof. Just brutal. And the other one that's just brutal too is when him and Elektra are fighting, and he throws her sword, and she catches it and it goes through her hand.
Yeah.
I always remember seeing that kid theater and just being like, oh my god, because the third one, that one, you can at least have an idea of what that would feel like that. And I always remember, and I love the way, that's where sometimes this moment does have good, this movie has good moments where, like Taylor said, that moment where she finds the rod in her dad, they didn't make that dramatic. And I do agree with you, they could have done that better. But when she gets stabbed, there's a big build up too. They make it look like she catches it, she slowly turns, and then she reveals her hand, and the music cues right when you see the hand. It's such a good reveal. And just they go back to Bullseye, and he's like, oh, and he laughs, and it's so good. And then he hits her with that little card and just gives her just a small cut. Oh, and that's what I do love. It's brutal.
He gets his stab.
He gets Jesus
through.
Christ, pretty much in the church, which is very risque to do on the movie,
Very
but they
risque.
went for it. Tia, what do you feel about Bullseye?
He just pissed me off. I literally wrote in my notes, Bullseye is annoying.
I can't. I mean.
Yeah, it's just. He so much of his mannerisms and stuff. I thought, what is this fucker doing? Like, Jesus.
The jacket flip always.
The jacket flips. Like, okay, here's a helicopter. Elektra just died. Here's a helicopter flying over, and there he is right there. He flips his jacket, and it goes to another scene. Comes back. The helicopter's still there, and he's gone.
He's quick. He's an assassin.
Oh, he's jumping from building to building. So it's just bullshit.
Bullshit.
One thing I do want to point out, because it kind of ties into that fight scene with Bullseye, is when Daredevil gets stabbed by Elektra in the shoulder, that he spends the whole time crawling. He crawls into the church, he's crawling, barely can walk, and then as soon as Bullseye shows up, he's standing and he's climbing and scaling. And he's like, what the fuck? And why is he crawling?
Yeah,
he got hit in the shoulder.
Because every other time he goes to his bed and he puts the healing salts in there, and then from Wanted, whatever he's doing. So that's normally, but this time he just plot armors it for sure.
Just I don't understand that.
Didn't have the scales.
Just wild.
That's it's a con, but it's definitely a movie. Like, we even saw it this year. Remember Rampage? You probably don't remember, but
I don't remember anything about Rampage.
The Rock gets shot in the middle of that movie, and then he's just like, I'm good. It missed all the organs. So like,
it's a video game.
It happens. It happens in movies.
Before he actually pops up, I'll go back when Elektra is fighting Daredevil. Do you guys have a problem with there was no build up to when Elektra pulls his mask off, just rips it off and instantly forgives him?
Well, I think
Do you mean build up to the
mask
unveiling,
yeah,
or
I
after
feel
she unveils before she?
Right when she unveils the mask, there's no build up at all. I feel like any superhero's unmasking warrants a build up.
I think there's big build up with the music. The score is paired really good with that, because again, when she takes the mask off, it's very quiet. When she takes the mask off, there's a big kind of drum to it. I agree. I think they could have hang on longer the moment of her finding out it was Matt. I think the reason she would forgive him right away is because she knows, okay, this is the guy that loves me, and clearly he wouldn't have killed my father. It needs a lot more. I think you're supposed to roll that, but they could have used a lot more. I liked the quickness of Bullseye's here, he's coming in. Like, they made Bullseye feel like a ticking time bomb, like he's gonna get you, like almost like Michael Myers. But their moment could have lasted a bit longer, because that's a very crucial moment, and it goes very quick.
That's exactly like they just skip over that potentially dramatic moment. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it was set up all that well. It went by very fast.
And the way I love is, how the fuck do they all find each other? They at one point show Matt's in alleys. Yeah, I'll find you. Matt's in alleyways. Bullseye's on rooftops. We don't know where Elektra is. The fact that all three of these characters found each other in New York, quite impressive without knowing anything. So I do like the way Elektra stabs him, though, when she runs up the wall and she takes the knife and gets him. that was cool. And they had a fun little fight scene. Could have gone on a little longer, but I thought they had a good fight scene because you clearly see Matt is like he doesn't do any big attacks, right? He's just blocking the whole time. So and he's trying like I didn't kill your father. Like I liked all that, and I remember that scene specifically because they showed that on Entertainment Tonight exclusively, like way early on.
Wow.
I was very excited. It was his first Daredevil movie. I love Daredevil, you know. So
yeah, it's a big movie.
but yeah, I agree with you. That could have been a much longer, in-depth scene, but shit did die.
Nothing else to really have on the Bullseye. His lines just
you would like
me the
him. He
wrong
seems like a
way.
Taylor character, right?
He's fucking great.
He was just so weird. Couldn't sync with him. So
My last thing on Bullseye, I love it's like a scene with him and Kingpin, and like either Kingpin hands him a rose or like picks up one of his roses and like takes a sniff of it and just has like this look of disgust.
Yeah.
Just it really fits. It fits the Bullseye character that he would just not like the smell of flowers arbitrarily.
Oh yeah, I wanted more scenes. We can transition to Kingpin now. I wanted more scenes of those two together because that was a fun.
He wasn't in the movie enough.
No, he was there. He's in it a bit more in the director's cut, but still not. You could tell they set this up for a sequel because they like the way that ends of just like I'm gonna get you, Daredevil. I'm gonna like another moment. That's where I think this movie has so many gross moments. When Daredevil, I know I'm skipping, when Daredevil kicks his fucking knees out and the scream that Michael Clarke Duncan lets out, you can feel that pain. And I always remember, again, seeing that as a kid and be like, oh my god.
that's
like,
one of my cons.
why? What? That's such a cool superhero thing to do, to kick his knees forward. Like
There was so much time that Daredevil spent sliding between his legs and then kicking. I feel like Kingpin had so much time to react. He could have jumped up in the air.
But that's
Kingpin can't jump.
No,
He weighs 500 pounds and it's only 5%
fat.
I feel like he could have done something. I feel like if you kick a guy's legs, he'll fall. But he kicked and he still stood there and was like, that hurt, and then he fell down.
To be fair, at the very start of the fight, Daredevil punches him like 10 times. So he clearly obviously took all those hits, but he's not invulnerable. He's still like.
But he takes it by the rods
if
too.
you kick out this part of the leg, I feel like that would take you or flip you backwards onto your back.
I know the way I took it is that he breaks both his legs when he does that. That's why there's crunching. That's why he collapses to his knees. And yeah, so that's why I don't think he just kicked him in the legs like, oh my god, like I think he broke both his legs at the same time, which is fucking brutal. Like, and I like that fight scene. It's the most set PC movie fight scene of all time. Of course, the rain, Fisk's fucking office, of course, has water going through it, so it's a bad cheesy movie moment. But I like that when he figures that out and he throws that. I wish it could have been longer, but I like at the beginning he is wounded, and even Kingpin's dialogue, like, I like to fight Junior Prime. Like, Kingpin is also the way he's fighting slow. It's not because he's only 5% body fat. It's because he's a very arrogant, cocky character. Like, that is a very Kingpin thing to do. And I like it one moment when he goes for the rod shot, and he just catches it, and he just fucking whips Matt across the thing, and he throws him again at the glass. It's not as well done as the Netflix show, but the Netflix show they do the same thing where you see the dynamic of big muscle guy versus the small versatile guy, right?
Yeah.
This is a very quick fight scene of that, but they do that, and I like it, and that is probably my favorite finishing blow in any movie. I know there's probably many great deaths, and Michael Myers and Freddy, but just those kick to the knees, just because I just think about that. If I were to stand there and you're like, Travis, I'm going to kick you full power in my knees, and it's just like, oh my god, because you've all done it when you stub your knee or something's happened. Oh man.
I don't know if I ever stubbed my knee.
Well, I meant
I
like
stubbed my toe a lot. But
couldn't you? Well, if I hit my knee on this, would I say
you can. I just don't think, I stub my toe often.
You're not as clumsy as I.
And I smash my elbow on things, but I don't really stub my knee. Taylor, do you stub your knee?
I don't. My knee is usually pretty strong when I hit stuff with it.
Wow.
If you hit
His
something with your
knees
knees,
wouldn't
they're
get
going
kicked out of what he's saying. No. And I wish there was more scene than just the one, but I like the dynamic of Kingpin, this very nice dressed, business-oriented guy, with the scum of the earth, Bullseye, and they had a fun back and forth. That felt like a classic, movie, Marvel, comic book team-up and everything like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I want a bloody costume. And I'm excited to see if he gets that costume in the Netflix show, because he does not look like that in the comic books. He looks like classic. He has the bullseye on his forehead, but it's on a costume, it's armor and everything, and it's blue and white, so I don't know if it's going to happen. But
Drilled into his head.
I think Michael Clarke Duncan is great. I think he
he
plays
is,
a very different Kingpin than what we got on Netflix, but the Netflix one is not classic Kingpin. They changed it.
He doesn't have a lot of screen time in this,
No.
right? So he's a lot more of a flat character.
He's supposed to be a charismatic crime boss, and he does that well. And I think he's intimidating too. I really do in some scenes. Like just that scene where he talks to Elektra's father. He's like, oh man, like she's so happy and everything like that. It's such a shame, like it's not gonna last. And he just slips that rose in her pocket, and he's just like, just saying goodbye, friend, just saying goodbye. He was like, man, like he doesn't. I feel like even though he has some, arrogant lines and some over the top lines, I feel like he's the least cheesiest in this movie out of all the actors. I really do. And it might be the screen time, but I feel like he's more just intimidating than cheesy. I don't think he has many times where he's hamming up the screen.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that his first scene is him in his office, and he just fucking picks up some dude and just snaps his neck on the spot. Like, I thought that was an excellent way to...
In the movie?
Yeah.
Kingpin?
Yeah.
You definitely watched the director's cut, I think.
Did I?
Yeah, I don't remember that in the
Yeah.
Really?
Is there a scene...
How long is the movie you watched?
It's an hour 40.
I watched the director's cut then.
Because there's a plot line of the guy, Coolio, the guy who was framed by Kingpin, right? For certain murders and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't watch that one, because I don't want the director's cut. Yeah. So there was not the sex scene in the director's cut?
There's a scene of them, like, making out.
Oh,
but maybe I didn't see
because they took the sex scene out of the director's cut. You should watch it on YouTube. It's fucking slow. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different movie. So we've been talking about.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, and that director's cut is actually better. So the fact that it's still cheesy is not the greatest sign. I've not seen it in a good minute.
Well, anyway, so the movie I watched.
Wow, I forgot.
It's interesting that this is just coming out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first scene of Kingpin, he's just in his office, like talking to someone, and he just has these two bodyguards. He just turns around, picks this guy by the neck, lifts him in the air, just fucking has this big crunch in his neck, and just throws him to the side. And then like his little assistant.
Yeah.
Or is he not?
Wesley.
Wesley, is that who it is?
Yeah, that's the same. That's a character from Netflix.
I don't remember the name. But,
yeah, but you remember the first season of Netflix Daredevil?
Yeah,
That's the same guy. Yeah.
And then he just comes in and like drags the body out. I'm just shocked that we actually watched different versions. When I said this movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes, you guys didn't think to mention something?
I almost was gonna say something when you said that, but I was like, when I watched it, I'm like, I guess it was 2 hours. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes?
Well, with the credits, so probably clocked in like 2 minutes and like
great
5
opening.
seconds.
I love the song and everything like that, because I have not seen this. I've seen the director's cut like twice. Let's see this next snap here. It's coming up. Whoa, yeah, it's coming up.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Wow.
Oh my god!
Oh, amazing.
Okay, I take back the cheesy thing.
I'll trade that for a sex scene any day.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so that's that.
I'm gonna get the sex scene going
Please
too.
do.
Well, Taylor, you talk about Kingpin.
And I was like, you guys are talking about, I'm like, it's not as familiar to me, and I just watched it, so I feel like...
Look at this. Hot scene, Taylor. It's a hot scene.
It's called the hot scene, is it?
So yeah, you got this when they're making out.
I think I got this.
And when that's
this
the thing.
This is the first time they make out.
Yeah,
right?
but in the director's cut, doesn't she say "stay with me" and he say "I can't"?
I can't. I don't know.
Okay, because the reason they added the sex and stuff, because when they tested the movie originally, the females really liked the romance, so they added more of the romance in. So yeah, this was going in the director's cut. I'm pretty sure he leaves her on the roof. But here we go. Let's get some of the sex scene. The music too. Fans,
this is the room.
This is the room level. Oh,
but fading into each other and like.
I see what Taylor's saying about her face. She's
Man, my favorite part is coming back. They fall back, and I think there's like the fire there. Yeah, right there. Look at that scene.
elegant.
Directing 101. Smiles galore.
So what other changes is there? Because so far that's the only thing I guess that.
Well,
I
that
recall.
whole thing of the guy being framed by Kingpin is not in our movie. The OG cut. That whole thing, and the thing that kind of makes all the crimes come together and he pieces them together, and him and Foggy investigating a bit more is not. That whole subplot is out of the OG cut.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna watch the director's cut this weekend. He's really exciting.
I like that stuff because it was funny because there's this one scene of I'm just gonna keep calling him Happy Hogan because that's the only thing I can keep thinking of. You just put the music back on.
Oh yeah, I'm saving it for later, you know.
But there's at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because like how many scenes is there of them like in court then, in that version?
Just one.
Okay, because there's like 3 or 4 in this one.
Yeah.
There's one where Daredevil just doesn't show up, and so Happy's just doing it on his own, and he's like going through the files. He's like trying to find some stuff out, but it's all in Braille, so he can't do any of it. And so he's trying to interview that guy, and he mentions Turk, which I really liked, but I guess that probably wasn't in your version.
No.
Turk is obviously Turk because he's in every.
I don't think he knows him as well as we do, though. He's only watched Iron Fist. So
he's more in Daredevil, but yeah, I like that there was that kind of name drop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I really like that scene of Kingpin at the start, and that you can see why I think he's a little more cheesy because that is a very
that
cheesy
scene's
scene.
not in the movie. The scenes of him is when you meet him, the ball scene, the funeral scene, and then when he fights Matt. That's all he is in the OG movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like the extended version.
Yeah.
That's good. I really like their final fight scene with Kingpin and Daredevil. Because I really like the rain aspect of it. Because that's something they set up early on, and I really like the imagery of it. That when it's raining, that's when he can see. Because everything has a sound and like visually you get to see his perspective, and I really like that just because it happens a couple times throughout the movie at the funeral scene.
And controversial.
Some other time.
I think I like his sight better in this movie than I do in the Netflix show. Because remember when he sees them, it's just like them on fire in a way. Because he always says it's a world on fire. Watch that when the show comes back. I actually like this a bit better. I like the sonar type of look that people have. And when he's fighting,
it's not always great.
I like when he's fighting Kingpin originally, and Kingpin's like he's like I like that. It's really distorted. So I like that because it shows that sometimes it's almost like a hindrance. Obviously, the train happens too. But,
the train does happen. There's also a moment with the during the Kingpin fight scene where he picks up Daredevil and he just goes for like a big headbutt and it times with like a thunder explosion at the exact same time, and it's just really good. There, like as you mentioned, there's a few times where the score / sound effects like line up perfectly with like certain fight scenes and hits and stuff like that. So I thought they did pretty good with that. I really like Kingpin. I really wish there was more of him because even that ball scene, his lines are just really fun and like delivered really well.
You have no idea how many years I waited for that Daredevil 2 and it never came, but I was very excited. Taylor, what do you think about Kingpin? Then we get some quick notes and finish this back.
I didn't mind him. He definitely was the least cheesiest. He was okay. I like the actor. I think he did a good job in this movie, and yeah, I mean that like throat breaking scene you just saw was that was just over the top.
So bad. That's great.
So good.
But I mean,
the guy's eyes are just rolling.
Wasn't in the copy I saw, so I mean that's a good thing. But no, I think I definitely enjoyed Kingpin. You know, he was charismatic. He was just doing his own thing, and he was the boss. I didn't understand why he sent the guards home when he wanted to fight Daredevil. I guess
he's a man. He wants to do it himself.
I guess, but just have the guards there as a contingent because he got his legs broken. He's gonna go to jail and tell people he got beaten by a blind man.
He's not gonna though. Kingpin wouldn't do that.
Well, he said he was going to.
But then no, he said I'm gonna tell everybody, and then he's like, tell him you got beat by a blind Laura in Hell's Kitchen, and then he's like, when I get out, I'm gonna get you. So I think he kind of walked it back, saying, okay, I won't tell them. You know.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think Kingpin's fucked.
I got some. Well, he is in this movie universe because there's no sequel, so Daredevil just won the day. And you know what? To shout out, I really like the. We're not going to talk about much, but Ben Urich, I like that he deletes the whole thing, and I love.
That's a con I have.
I love the It's Bring You Hell by Fuel, and I love he's just running on the rooftop, and he's like, I'm watching Hell's Kitchen at night, and it's my playground, and just like when he's flipping, it's cheesy, but like it feels so much like comic book orgasm art where he's just like flipping and that rod comes out and it's all around him and it's just like why is that a con?
So it's the end scene, he's finished off the article and then he holds the delete button. Why doesn't he just exit out of Microsoft Word or whatever he's using? He just holds the delete button.
It's not
as dramatic.
Yeah, but have you never done that before?
After I read
it's pretty therapeutic.
News article though?
It can be therapeutic if you're like, I don't need this.
And maybe he's not done with Microsoft Word. He's like, I'm not going to write that story.
Okay, then you know what? You select delete.
It's not as cinematic as if he doesn't.
If that's something that like makes you take a point off this movie, then you're
that was me just adding to the fire.
Just adding to the fire.
Some notes I have. The guy at the beginning of the movie, Quesada, who's named after a comic book writer. Man, the court system does a terrible job because is he guilty as fuck? This guy is on trial for rape, and he's just like, man, she really wanted it, and she enjoyed every second of it. And it's
anything that happens after that is consensual. He said some fucking crazy
And
shit.
this guy gets off as innocent.
Yeah.
So terrible. And then the other thing is, too, I love that after that, Matt Murdock makes his closing statement and he goes, I hope justice is found before it finds you. I think in a room with judges and lawyers, someone would be like, did he just threaten this guy? Because, like, it sounds like a complete fit that he does. But, yeah, that is classic 2000s. Not even just, I think, comic books, like, just action movies, like, movies in general. Like, he's a criminal, he's going to be really sleazy about it. Nowadays, they try to be sly or anything like that. But in real life, if that guy was just talking about how this girl wanted it, he's going to prison. But, no, Kingpin got him off.
Yeah, that guy was a huge scumbag.
Yeah, we talked about the fight scenes. We haven't talked about the sea train or anything like that. Yeah, it's bad because Daredevil kills people, and it's a tribute to a comic book. He does that to Bullseye, but he saves Bullseye last second. He kind of
I thought he was going to save this guy for sure.
No, that's the sea train. I just love that line, just the way he yells it out like that. And when Daredevil, when he says Bullseye, a few of the lines I cheesily love. And that one, and then you see that bright light? That ain't heaven. That's the sea train. And he's just like, no. And then like he cuts it off, and then. So people are going to call me out on this because I love Dark Knight Rises, but it has a point. Dark Knight Rises, when Batman comes back, he makes a gasoline bat symbol. And to me that makes sense because one, it's off in the distance on a building, and he does that because he's been missing for 6 months, and it's to show the town...
Con about that.
Of course. It's to show the town Batman's back and he's here to save us. When did Matt Murdock have the time to bring gasoline down to the subway? So I just imagine him in the subway making a D around. Yeah, it's a cool thing when he throws a cigarette. It's cool, but it's like, when did he have the time? And does he have that gasoline on him all the time to leave his symbol around? So, yeah.
Well, that's the same for Batman. There's a nuclear bomb that's about to go off, and he took the time to coat the whole side of that building.
No, the nuclear bomb was timed. Remember, he knew he had time. So, and
he knew he had time to waste.
No, but he couldn't get in there. And the other thing is, if you've missed the point of Dark Knight Rises, it's about the symbol of Batman and how that can motivate the town. Because there's a cop that's controlling the police force. Quick side note, he's not going to help Gordon, but then when he sees that, he goes, Batman's back, we got to help. So that's why. That's a plot reason for give hope to a town. Daredevil putting in the subway, he's just signing his work, and apparently he wants you to know that he killed this guy with a train.
Apparently.
Yeah, I liked that mustard joke.
The mustard joke.
Like when they do the switch and he gets mad at him and he's just talking about like, yeah, Sanford's son's gonna come in next, like, well, who we getting paid in fish and scallops and stuff like that. They had some good back and forth, and yeah, like I said, that Matt returning the first night is really gets the call. He's taking a bunch of pills. He's chewing fucking pills. He's not just taking them, he's chewing them, which is gross.
His teeth out.
No, he didn't spit it. He pulled his teeth out. Brutal. He should
Yeah,
probably
he
get
did.
dentist next
He just
day.
tossed
But
it right there on the shower floor.
yeah, not good. Let's see. I think I've gone over almost everything here or there. Yeah, CGI, Daredevil running on the roof's brutal. They fall in love really quickly. Yeah, I think. Why do you think Fisk when? Oh, okay. So at the funeral, when it starts to rain and she knows he can see her, and she puts the umbrella over her, what a bitch. I can't believe she did that. That was this guy's just asking, can I be there for everything that, and she puts the umbrella so he can't see her. And one moment, I don't understand why it happens, but why does Kingpin just look over and laugh? He just laughs at that Matt Murdock's girl left him, you know.
That's Kingpin.
Yeah, well, and I think he was more laughing because he was laughing at Elektra, not at Matt Murdock.
Fair enough.
Right?
Why does he want her dead?
Elektra?
Yeah.
Probably because she's related to whatever her dad's name is.
Nuchios.
Nachos.
Yeah.
His name was
why?
Nicholias or something. Nicholias.
Yeah, but what, like, she could be alive. It's fine. She doesn't need to be killed.
He's just a bad guy.
Yep.
That's what bad guys do.
I like when Bullseye sees Elektra and she turns around and he goes, "Hey, orphan, let's play." You know, it's fun. He killed her dad. It's
Fucking Bullseye.
That was a Bullseye line for sure.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, orphan, let's play. But just the line that he's like, "The devil is mine. I want a bloody costume," which in the director's cut was a fucking costume, right? He says, "I want a fucking costume," or does it cut there? I want a fucking costume.
I don't remember if he dropped the fucking word.
At one moment when he's climbing up the ladder, there's a rat. He scares the rat. It's such a bull.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna eat it.
I thought he was gonna fucking eat it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Perfect. perfectly fits the character.
And when Elektra's down, and this is probably the stuff that you don't really like, but when Elektra's down, he literally just does like a handstand flip over her. So good. Like, it's just like acrobatic, and he's just like such a piece of shit.
The only thing I didn't like was the kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Literally that 3 seconds. Everything else was great.
I love the jacket whip that he does. I love the glass. That's good. And, Matt Murdock, for some reason, the backflips just got him out of there, and that worked out. I actually really like the end shot of when Matt leaves, and it's Matt Murdock's mask. When he leaves Fisk's boss fight, he leaves and it's just water and like blood and like the roses with the mask. It's like a fun little shot. And that's all I have. And I like that he drops a rose for his dad. That's when we get that piano cue in there, and I love that score. I listen to that quite a bit. So
I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I listened to it this week.
It's pretty basic, yet it's always fun to see Stanley cameo.
That was a good cameo.
Already stops him, yeah.
Yeah, when young Matt Murdock stops the old man from walking into the street blindly. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Man, I had one more, but I can't remember what it was. One more nice little point. That's all I got, though.
Well, I'm not sure if everyone has their final thoughts, but for my rating, I've said everything I need to. Like I said, not the greatest movie, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I love it. You can go watch Daredevil on Netflix now. Maybe that's why I can also enjoy this movie a lot more, because I know we got a perfect Daredevil, the Essence Daredevil. So now looking back on this, it's kind of sometimes like Star Wars prequels, where it's like, oh, we got more Star Wars movies. So now this isn't it for it. So I honestly wish we got a second one. I would love this one day, but this movie made Ben Affleck for a while. He said he didn't plan on playing another superhero, and look how that ended up happening. But
the biggest one of all time.
I'm giving this a 7.5 out of 10. Just love this movie. There's so much good stuff in it. I understand all the problems, but it's very enjoyable. But there's some problems that are too high that I can't love it egregiously. Like, oh, it's a 10 out of 10. No, I still know enough that really, logistically, I think this movie's probably like a 5.5, 6 out of 10. I'd say a 6 out of 10, but my love for some stuff gives it that 1.5 bump. So that is for me.
I found my last note here, the thing. So just a bad decision by Matt Murdock all around. He's trying to crack some, and I don't know if this is in your guys' version, he's trying to crack some news or a scoop out of some guy he was dealing with in court. And so he surprises this guy outside of it was outside of a bar.
This isn't an ours.
Yeah, he surprises the guy outside his bar in Matt Murdock. He's not Daredevil, he's as Matt Murdock. He handcuffs the guy to his car, takes the car, and just drives and smashes it back and forth between two vehicles.
Wow.
As he's trying to prove this guy is some shitty guy in court. Really terrible decision from well, first of all, anyone who's trying to prove anyone wrong, hey, I'm just going to commit an awful crime, destroy this guy's vehicle, and put him in danger. But also, he's a lawyer, so it just makes it even worse. You just ruined all your credibility as a lawyer by doing this.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So that was something that fit in with me as just a poor choice from that character that it's the same thing as he kills in this, and it's different than the other Daredevil I know, where it just those kind of things separate him from this is clearly not the same guy.
No.
Yeah, I think that's all my notes. I think so obviously Marvel Retro, we're having fun with the MCU, but then we stepped back. We did Blade trilogy and then Ghost Rider, and the thing is, there's some decent things in those movies, but for the most part, I was just bored through most of them. I was just not enjoying sitting there watching them, taking notes. I just was not. It was hard for me to feel terribly invested. And this one, I'm not invested because it has a great story, characters, or writing, but I was invested just because it was over the top, cheesy. It was fun the whole way through, and there's some great scenes to point out. It has a good score, and I'm glad we did this movie. I think it was a fun movie, and I don't know if I was kind of hoping when we were going back to watch all these old early 2000 comic book movies, I was hoping more of them were going to be like this. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what I was looking for in these old movies. So when they're just too serious or too bland, I'm not digging it. But this one was a lot of fun.
Well, we got we'll one day follow this up. We'll do Elektra one day.
Yes,
she got a spin-off movie.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
Taylor Field, somebody that also did not have as much enjoyable time.
5 out of 10.
Whoa, pass!
I'll give it a pass.
Oh, pass.
I'll give it that. I've only given one thing a fail in this life, and
it was Jigsaw, right?
Oh yeah.
Jigsaw's the standard.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird how this is the next lowest movie you've ever given anything.
I just didn't enjoy it. You know, honestly, if I watched it with you guys, I probably would have enjoyed
I
it.
watched the director's
Watching
cut.
it by
Apparently.
myself, I didn't get pulled in. But if I watched it with you guys, I probably would end up liking Bullseye.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
laughing through some scenes.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to Marvel Retrospective. All our links are down below. The biggest thing is, the biggest link, go to our 24-hour stream. November
Please
3rd
do.
is our 24-hour stream for Extra Life. We'll be staying up tons of good stuff. Please donate there. Spread that link. Thank you very much
Spread
for
that
tuning in.
link.
Share the load.
And also, we didn't talk about, they also did a post-credit scene. Feige was experimenting a little bit there.
Was there?
Did you get it?
I did. It might have been there, but I was like, I don't think there is one, so I stopped watching.
There
What is
Did
it?
you see-
No, was it
oh.
Nick Fury walking?
No,
around?
so this is how
Just
I...
walking around. Just a scene of him just walking around New York buying coffee.
He's just standing by Matt, and Matt doesn't see him, and then he walks to the kitchen. He's like, I guess he doesn't want to be an Avenger. You gotta guess his point. No, it's Bullseye. He's in the hospital. He's all wrapped up in bandages, and there is.
That wasn't a post-credit in mine.
Okay, but
Or, I don't know.
well, it's after some credits.
Oh,
Either way,
okay.
mid-credit stinger. There's a fly on his nose, and blah blah. It's bugging him, and he sees like there's some
Yeah,
needles
yeah.
beside him. He's like goes over the needles, and he hits the fly against the wall. He gets it, and he goes, Bullseye.
Oh my god.
Classic.
Fucking Bullseye.
Fucking Bullseye. I think Daredevil, because we didn't do anything for season 1, but we have a Daredevil season 2 review out there. Did you do one for season 1?
No, we didn't. So we have every single Marvel Netflix show reviewed except for the first season of Daredevil and Jessica Jones, which me and one do.
So if you want more Daredevil action,
Yeah.
there's something for you there.
But until next time,
Cut the check, Feige.
Check, Feige.
you were gonna say have something to.
I was gonna say have a marvelous
We saw that.
time.
You know
Let's try again. 1, 2, 3.
Cut
the
the
check,
Feige.
Yeah, you're going OG. I was like.
And this one actually is a